You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Scottish Football Show Extra right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. We've got a Largs Thistle special in this week's episode. We're delighted to be joined by Stuart Davidson, the manager. Stuart, it's a pleasure to welcome you on. How are we?
I know, bad, Scott. Thanks for having me, mate.
Absolute pleasure to have you on. And we're also joined by, quite casually dressed, as you can see, Will Sewell. Will, it's a pleasure to welcome you on. How are we?
Brilliant, mate. Very Christmassy.
How did that? What's that all about? That was never.
I think it's a total setup.
Oh dear. Expect that for your twin, though, you.
We're into the festive season, as you can see, but we've obviously got a lot to talk about in the show. But we'll start off with obviously the news during the week of what's been happening in the west of Scotland. Auchinleck and Clydebank are through to the fourth round of the Scottish Cup, and Darvel will go to a replay with Brecon. Stuart, it's a great story for the league, isn't it, with the two teams getting through to the Senior Scottish Cup and potentially a third next week?
Aye, it's brilliant. Honestly, it's great to see. You've seen Auchinleck been doing it the past couple of years. Now Clydebank are involved, Darvel's involved as well, and you've seen other teams in the earlier rounds as well. So it's brilliant, and it's something we aspire to get to as well. So, but just to see, watching the draw and the teams coming out the hats, and like Auchinleck getting hearts, and again. It's brilliant. It's great for our league. So as you say, it shows that teams in our league can compete with the teams in the leagues above us as well. So it's great.
Aye, that's that. Stuart, well, it's a good advert as well, isn't it? Just to obviously see kind of players like get into that level. Obviously, it's a level you kind of want to get to as well at some point. Obviously.
Aye, you do want to play as high as possible. Especially, I'm still quite young football terms, like 23. You do want to climb up the leagues, but especially. They're putting us on the map, especially our league on the map. There's 3 of them in that still in the cup, and they're not their best chance. They're there because they're good teams, good players, good managers, and they're still climbing through.
Aye, it's a great advert for the league, and obviously it's where kind of Largs want to get to soon. But we'll touch about that later on. We'll touch about in the season so far. We'll just kind of get into detail about the season. Sitting 18th in the league, 5 wins, 4 draws, 9 losses. Stuart, were you disappointed with how the season started from a league perspective?
Aye, definitely. Obviously, at the start of the season, we were hoping for better. 9 defeats isn't good enough. Obviously, some draws and 5 victories. So, listen, it's a tough league, very tough league. But I think we know ourselves that we should be doing better. When I look at the squad that we've got and the players that we've got, what they're capable of, I don't think we're showing everything that we've got to now. But there's plenty of time left. I think we're only halfway, so I feel that we can turn it around with the squad that we've got.
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously Will as well. Sitting 18th, it's maybe a false position with kind of how the league's working out in terms of like still got a few games in hand and like teams above you. Is it just a case of obviously just getting out of that position as quickly as possible and getting wins on the board?
We need to get the wins on the board. I don't think at this moment in time it really matters how we're doing it. I think we've just got to win as many games as possible, take it week by week in the league and try and climb up it. We're down there because we've put ourselves down there, nothing else. So we need to get ourselves out of it. So there's only one way to do that, that's by winning games of football. So I think we need to do that ourselves.
We'll go through kind of game by game and we'll touch on kind of different runs you've had. You started with 2 defeats, home to Rutherglen, and then a 5-0 loss to Beath. Aren't they're disappointing results, particularly the Beath one. Just what went wrong in the first 2 games?
Listen, I think the first game is very important. First game of the season, first league game, especially with everything that had been on for the past year or so. Obviously, with COVID, playing without crowds and that kind of thing. So I think that was a massive game for us, and I think it kind of knocked the stuff in it. It was a wee bit early doors, and to be honest, that game against Rutherglen, I think we didn't play too bad. I don't think it was too much between the teams. I was actually quite impressed with Rutherglen for just coming in, and they really kind of went about their business. some decent players there. So I think it was an even game, and I think they get a second goal in the 90th minute or whatever. And obviously we were pushing for a goal as well. So I think that knocked the stuffing out a wee bit, because everybody's that up for the season starting, and then you lose that first league game, especially at home. And then you go to Beeve midweek, and listen, it looks like a tanking, but the first half, we had as many opportunities as Beeve did, and it was kind of individual errors that cost us. The difference was they defended a bit better, and they were more clinical than us. We found ourselves a couple of goals down half time, and we struggled to recover for it. So two defeats in about 3-4 days for the league starting, it wasn't great for confidence as well.
Obviously the two results, at home, and then you come back and get a 4-2 win at home at Rossvale and a 4-0 win away to Cumbernauld. Well, after they two kind of disappointing games to start the season, how big were the two victories after that?
Huge, like for huge for us as a team, for a bit of confidence to push on, but also like points on the board. We needed them. You lose your first two games of the season, it's not great. You're already away down there, so to get 2 wins straight after was great, especially because the games are thick and fast. Saturday, Wednesday. So to get 2 on the bounce was great.
Arnie, would you kind of go along with the thoughts in the two kind of games against Rossvale and Cumbernauld? There are obviously a lot of goals in the games. It must have been good to just get the goals back and get confidence back.
It was obviously no scoring the first couple of games, to get all the goals. It gave the confidence back and got the boys going again. And it was a couple of hard games, really. I mean, I know we went through to Cumbernauld and we got a good win, but it was always going to be a tough game going through there. And Rossvale's a team that we've always kind of struggled, always tight games against. So that was two good wins to get for us, especially after the first two. And we were hoping we would kick on for there.
After that, obviously, the 5-match losing run to Largs Thistle, Meadow, which I was at, Darvel as well, Clydebank in there. Well, it's a disappointing spell, but obviously, how hard is it for the dressing room when you're in a run like that, particularly against kind of teams that kind of have went on to be near the top of the league?
It's hard because maybe apart from the Clydebank game, every other game was tight. Like Auchinleck went there, should have got something out of the game. Probably gave them too much respect a wee bit. Meadow, again, should have got at least a point minimum, but probably 3. So in the dressing room, it was hard. It was difficult, like for us to, because we were trying to pick ourselves up, but you were getting beat and then getting beat again and again. I think the games were still at that point Saturday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
So training on Monday, it was hard because you're getting ready for a Wednesday and then we get beat again. You've not got any time to recover from the loss on the Wednesday. You've just got to go straight into the Saturday. So there was no break. It was difficult, but we tried to pull ourselves together and stack together because we need to get out at the time.
Stuart, see the five games you lost, was there any you felt that you could have turned around and maybe got a result out of?
Aye, definitely. As Will says, I think the Clydebank game, I think we found ourselves 4-0 down at half time, which was disappointing. So it was just a matter of trying to keep yourself in it before it getting too embarrassing as well, and maybe try and get a goal back, see what happens. But the other games, I mean, as you mentioned, away to Auchinleck, I thought we gave a really good account of ourselves, and at 1-1 we were going to try and win the game as well, and we've gave away a soft goal. So something going down to Auchinleck could have really picked us up, even if you come away with a point there. Down at Med as well was tight. The Cumbernauld game, I think, as well, we gave them 2 goals a start, done great the second half. And listen, that was a time where, and all the teams will say the same, I think the game Saturday, Wednesday was really catching up there with the squads, with injuries, with COVID, all that kind of thing. I think even maybe suspensions at that point, I can't remember. But it was starting to catch up with us as a squad, and as he says, you're going in on Monday and you're just trying to get everybody just ticking over, patching people up to go again on the Wednesday. And I thought in that run of games we probably deserved a few points out of that, but it never came for us. And don't get me wrong, a lot of that was down to ourselves. We just be silly errors and maybe being a bit naive. But we did give ourselves a good account of ourselves in the games.
Well, after that, obviously 2 draws, 1-1 against Pollock and then 0-0 against Kilwinning. Were they disappointing though to get the results, get the wins in their games, do you think?
The winning game, definitely. Like, they were down to 9 men, but even before that, I'd say we were on top of them. I think I missed a chance. I think Caddy missed a chance, and a team down to 9 men, you should be beating them. Like, there's nothing else. Like, yeah, we didn't concede, kept a clean sheet away from home against Corinne. We've taken a point, but on the day, it wasn't great. Like, it was disappointing. We should have got 3 points, regardless. The Port game, I think we scored a penalty in the last minute. So, again, I think we fought right to the end and got a point for that game. So, 2 very different sort of draws. One was disappointing, one was a good point in a way.
Arnie, was that Buffs game a disappointing considering how they went down to 9 men?
Aye, I mean, they got a man sent off early doors. So I think for there, we had a lot of pressure on them. And to be fair to the Buffs, they sat in, they defended well, kept their shape and made it hard for us. But there was points in that game, especially after the first sending off, where we were putting the pressure on them. It gave us a wee lift. We were getting that, and that's the time when we had to score, and we did have chances then. And as the game goes on, they get a bit more settled in their shape, and it made it harder for us. But we huffed and puffed. Then they got a man sent off late on as well, and you're thinking, right, that's another man off. Let's try and take advantage of it. And again, wee chances, no taking them, and the Buffs hung in there for a point. So, aye, that was disappointing. The Pollock game, I thought first half I was happy to get in at 1-0 down, because we did a lot of pressure on us, but we were better the second half. And we got the draw, which you maybe a wee bit lucky to get it, but the boys did fight hard to stay in it and get the point. And by the way, the points picked us up a wee bit again. So they're just the fact you're going away to Pollock and away to Kilwinning and coming away with something. So that was pleasing for us.
Brilliant. Well, how big was that 3-0 win at home at Benburb to get out of that kind of winless run?
It was massive. That was big for the dressing room at home as well, and probably fans, because we were at home. So the 3-0 back to winning ways, kept a clean sheet, which was important. Again, it was 2 clean sheets on a bounce. Boys were a bit more confident. We looked like we weren't conceding, we were scoring goals, and hopefully we're going to kick on from that.
Aye, I mean, that was obviously a massive win for the dressing room, Stuart, as well. And how kind of big was it for you as well, just to get that kind of winless run ended?
Aye, listen, it was good. It was good for the boys, you know what I mean, because they'd been through a lot with the defeats, and then obviously the draws picked them up a wee bit, as I say, as it kind of steadied the ship a bit. But I think just for the boys to get that win and get that belief really helped them, and we went on to have kind of some decent results after that as well.
Yeah, there's a 2-2 draw with Rob Roy, then a 3-1 loss to Kilburnley, but we'll touch on the 5-0 win against Blantyre, Will, because that was a game that you done pretty well in with 4 goals. That must have been a massive boost for you.
It was big at the time. We'd worked on it during the week. I think me and Blair were up top. We'd worked on what we needed to do, and it was heavy parking. We knew we needed to work hard and run them. I missed quite a sit on the first, say, 5-10 minutes, I think, and I was like, oh, don't be one of these days, and then got my next chance, and I think I missed another one, and I scored the next 3. So it was big for me, like confidence-wise, basically playing up front. Got a few goals, able to relax, and the boys worked hard as well, and again another clean sheet, so that was important as well. We could have won the game 1-0 and we probably came away just as happy, just because we got the 3 points and the defence had not conceded again.
Stuart, was Will's performance that day as good as he says?
Listen, I told him to me it wasn't about the goals. I think he worked his backside off that day and showed a different side to him, which we've been asking for. So I was pleased with his all-round performance rather than just the goals.
Was that a big win as well, the 5-0 win, Stuart? Like, just going to Blantyre, it's obviously a difficult place to go, but going there and scoring 5 goals must have been big.
Aye, listen, I didn't expect it, to be honest, because the way we set up there was for a tight game on a kind of heavy park, and let's see if we can just kind of get a win whatever way we can. So it was pleasing to win it convincingly, and it let me relax for 10 minutes or something. That was about it.
That kind of started a good wee run as well, the 2-1 win over WOSFL. Like that, is it good? Obviously, well, we get that wee run going, and then we'll touch on the Hurlford game in a couple of minutes. But that 2 wins and kind of getting a wee run going must have been good.
It was great. Like, scoring in the last minute was brilliant. Like, but we again should have first half missed a sitter. And I think we got a penalty. And then last minute we were just plugging away. There was a couple of half chances, balls going into the box, and we weren't really getting there. And then Stuart's just whipped one into the front post, and we've scored. And that was right, especially because it was Rossdale, they're a team down there with us. To get 3 points, like Arnie said, we've struggled against them in the years just for whatever reason. And to get, as soon as we scored, the ref said, he's like, that's it done. So 3 points away from home against a team down there with us was great. Very, very important at the Real.
Arnie, was that a massive win, obviously getting it so late on against Rossdale?
It was, because the way the game had went, and you're thinking, there we go, we've dropped more points that I think we could have picked up. So, I mean, I was very frustrated on the sidelines. But to be fair to the boys, they kept going and going. And it was a good ball in for Stuart, and to get the goal in the end, it was brilliant. Yeah, so definitely. It kind of gave us a wee bit of a kick again, and it was, listen, we've picked up some good wins away from home, you know what I mean? And that's a frustrating thing, because you look at some of the results and you're like, we've done well there, and then other times we've kind of let ourselves down.
That Hurlford game, the 3-3 draw at home, well, there was somebody at the game watching it who kind of said to us it was just the game had absolutely everything. Would you go along with that?
It was a horrible day for football. It was Barfield's to be totally honest. It was that wind, tunnel, rain, everything. It was horrible to like play in, but the game it had everything in it. Like both halves was just wild.
The 3-3 draw, was it disappointing? Because obviously it was kind of a game of pinball, wasn't it?
Aye, well, let me think. How did the game go? We were 2-0 down, and then 3-2 up, and then ended up 3 each. So, needless to say, I wasn't too happy. People might think, well, you're 2-0 down, but the fact that we'd worked that hard to get back into it and get 3-2 ahead, and then to lose for a corner, to lose the goal for a corner, it kind of felt like a defeat for me. And again, solely down to the fact that how much we need the points. It's not like, well, it's a good point. For us, it's not a good point just now. We need to be picking up 3 points to try and move up the table. So I would say I was disappointed in the end, although being 2-0 down, you know, you're thinking, how's this day going to go?
Your last league game that you played was against Troon a couple of weeks ago. Well, that was a disappointing result, obviously 3-1 away. It was kind of, Troon's been a kind of difficult place for you the past couple of seasons.
It was just a first half, we did everything right. Went 1-0 up and came in at half time and just thought, let's just go out and do the same, just keep doing our jobs. And they came out flying and we just stopped, to be honest. I think they scored and then I think Blair gets sent off and we didn't really do much to react to that. We just kind of fell away, stopped playing, and they took their chances and won the game. And it was just poor, to be honest. That's the only way to put that. See,
obviously, the Troon kind of thing as well. We'll touch a bit in your South run, obviously beating St Roch's and Glasgow Perthshire. They're two kind of big wins, obviously, Stuart, in that competition, but then Troon in this, getting out to Troon in the South. Is it just been difficult with Troon, and obviously how good were they wins against St Roch's and Perthshire?
Aye, listen, obviously it's a new cup for us, the South of Scotland, so it was a cup we wanted to progress in, and obviously there's a lot of different teams that we've not played before in this cup, so you're hoping to get far and maybe play against one of them. So getting through the first couple of rounds was great, and the games, they actually helped us a bit when maybe we weren't playing too well or whatever, and then we go and get the victories in the cup, and that kind of got us going again and gave us something to kind of hang on to. So aye, they were good, but the game against Troon, which we went out in the league, was very disappointing because the fact that they just beat us in the league the week before. So you're looking for a reaction at the players, and for me, we didn't get it. So that's I was really disappointed with that, as well as obviously not getting the opportunity to go further in the cup. But regarding the league game as well against Troon the week before, I thought we were great the first half. We go 1-0 up, and then we don't. I think we kind of let ourselves get caught up in Troon's kind of tactics, and I think that let us down. Never a red card, so that played a big part in the game as well. Never a red card, so I was disappointed with that. But I think we let ourselves down over the two games against Troon.
Well, was it, obviously that's a kind of new cup to be in, and obviously it was 2 good results to start off. Was it disappointing that you couldn't go any further, and the kind of Troon was a difficult place again?
It's always annoying when you get put out of the cup. You want to go as far as you can, and the further you go, anything could happen. So to get out so early in the cup, like, it's just disappointing as a whole, and especially against them because we'd been beaten the week before. So it was time to put them at the cup, get a wee bit of revenge, but it just never happened. It was just disappointing again.
No. We'll go into the Junior Cup as well. You're obviously doing brilliant in that. You're into the quarter-final draw. Stuart, first, before we get into the kind of run so far, how important was it for the club to stay in that Junior Cup?
Very important for the club, very important for the players, the fans. Honestly, it's obviously we've moved on into the West of Scotland setup, but we'll never forget how important the Scottish Junior Cup is. It's got a great history. The club's got a great history with it, so it's something we want to go as far as we can in, and obviously try and, you're in the quarters, you want to try and get into that final. That's got to be the target.
And how good's the run been, Jet? What's been kind of the highlights of the run so far?
Listen, the Saturday's game, obviously very good against Dundee North End, who had some good players and made it very hard for us. So that was a good one. Obviously doing it Cumnock, just went to the penalties. Bit much for me, so it was. But it was deserved. I thought we deserved it. So we did. I thought we were pushing to try and win the game in the end. After I think being 1-0 down. So we deserved that. And listen, that's obviously been involved in the cup with Largs before, and getting to the cup final. And listen, you want to get to the cup final, you want to win it, but I say to the players, it's all about the journey as well. You know what I mean? It's the games that you win leading up to it, and there's been some good games and some good buzzies in the dressing room after it, and that's what it's all about. So hopefully we can get to the quarters and do the same against Petershill.
Aye. Well, obviously it's been a big run in the Junior Cup. Obviously that Cumnock game which I was at, I would agree with Stuart. I think Largs probably deserved to win the game just in the end with how well he's were pushing. That was a massive win, and obviously it's been a really good run so far.
Aye, the Cumnock game was huge. They'd beaten us earlier on this season, so we knew it was going to be a hard game, and 1-0 down, I think again, just for a set piece, I think, or a cross into the box, and it was like, so plugging away, and then we got our goal. I think Milky scored, and then we had chances. We could have won the game, and I think if the game had played for another 5 minutes, we'd have put them out then, but went to penalties and beat them anyway. Danny's made a couple of saves. Jamie missed the first one right enough, so we had to drag him out that. But after that, we scored, and the changing room after it was brilliant, because then we had the next round and seen it was Dundee, didn't really know anything about them, so we were just like, right, we're just going to turn up and beat them. And Saturday was brilliant, like great for the club, great for us. Changing room was buzzing, it was just great, just still be in the cup. I went and watched a couple of years ago when I got to the final, and the buzz around the town, like living here, is crazy on the build up to it. So to be a player and people come up to you and talking to you about it, it's brilliant. So you want to keep going and keep going and keep going and get to the final and try and win it. So
yeah, obviously it's going to be a big game against Petershill in the quarter final. We'll touch a bit on that later on towards the end of the show, but we'll get into both of your careers a wee bit. Arnie, you came through at Kilmarnock, obviously, with a few of your teammates and your YTS days on the show. Just how good were they days, and what was your kind of highlights of your time at Killie?
Well, you touched on it there about the YTS days. I think obviously getting professional contracts and obviously kind of making my debut in the SPL, that kind of thing is great, you know what I mean? But the YTS days were the best. It was kind of, at the time you're thinking, oh, we need to go and clean these seats, need to do these dressing rooms, for the apartment, but the laugh you had with the boys was the best days of your life, honestly. It was brilliant. And once you stop doing that and you're in your kind of first year, second year contract, and you're just training and getting up the road, you start to miss all the shenanigans you got up to before. So I loved it there. I was there for about, I think, nearly 6 years or something, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But some great memories there. Who
were the kind of good players and kind of characters in the dressing room at that time that were in with you?
Well, in the YTS, there was guys like Alec Buck and Gary McCutcheon, Sander Ryan, guys like that. But just kind of above us was the guys in their first year, kind of pros and second year, like Alan Kerr, Mark Roberts, all the kind of guys who were wind-up merchants.
No a dull moment there, is there?
Full of carry on, honestly. So they would come down and wind us up and get a carry on. It was great. But obviously, as time went on, you got into the first team dressing room, that, and then like Durant and McCoist and that getting involved, and Tosh McKinley came for Celtic. He was a character. So I mean, guys like that, they were brilliant to have around the place.
Yeah, definitely. But obviously, you went from Kilmarnock to Queen of the South, and you spent time at Talbot as well. What was the kind of highlights of your later playing days? Like, what sticks out in your mind for you when you left Kilmarnock?
Well, when I left Kilmarnock, I ended up at Airdrie for a wee bit, and I didn't really work out there. And then Queen of the South, we won the second division, I'm sure, when I was there. With guys like Derek Anderson, John O'Neill, and that was under John Conley. That was a really good year. A great dressing room as well. Great bunch of lads. Played a part in it. Maybe not as much as I liked, but after that, ended up going into the juniors and went to Troon, which I was there for a couple of years, and I loved it at Troon as well under Chris Strain Senior, and then ended up at Talbot, where that was probably my most successful time in the juniors, and managed to win a few trophies, and I thoroughly enjoyed that there as well. That was probably one of the best times in my career.
Brilliant. We've got a few questions about your Talbot days later on, but we'll get into obviously your playing career is before you obviously you kind of broke in at Largs. What was your kind of highlights? Obviously your twin George as well, kind of coming through at the same time. What was your kind of highlights of your younger days?
Well, I played with Largs when I was younger, and then only until I was about 12, 13, and then ended up at the Port for a wee bit, and then ended up playing for a team in Newton Mellons, and I think we won a couple of cups and stuff, and that was great. But used to play against George quite a lot. Aye. So he stayed at the Port and I left. So they were always used to play them, end up playing them in cups 3, 4, 5 times a season. And I think that was everybody's highlight, just watching us to play against each other. He was playing up the back, I was playing up front, and it was just chaos. I think Arnie sees it in training sometimes. It's like controlling it's mental.
Idiots.
I know what it's like, but we're now teammates, and sometimes training the other, it's my teammate, it's not just my brother. But I played my pals for a while, and I came back, played with 21s. We set that up with Largs, and Peter Connor, the president at the time, he sort of helped us out. And then just before I came in with Largs, we were flying with the 21s. We were doing well, and then George eventually finally came and played with me. And I'm the reason I'd say he's at Largs now. I asked him to come along at the 21s, so he had no chance.
Brilliant. Stuart, was it always a plan to go into coaching once you finished playing?
Not really. Nah, I hadn't really thought about it much. I was getting a lot of bother with my calves and that towards the end of playing, and I probably stopped quite early. I think it was kind of just early 30s. I'd left Talbot and went up to Neilston to play for a wee bit, and then just kind of out of the blue, it was Stephen Swift had contacted me, asking if I wanted to go and be assistant to him and Mark Crilly at Kilburnie.
Right.
And kind of player as well, which didn't really play much, to be honest. So that kind of just happened, just kind of getting it like that, and I did enjoy it, but I did find it hard going through the kind of no playing straight into coaching. And everybody's got their kind of ways and how they go about things, and I just found it hard that people weren't kind of going about their business the way I would have went about mine, or the way we did at Talbot or whatever. And I just found that a wee bit frustrating at first, but eventually kind of got into it.
And then obviously you got into Largs with Brian Slavin, your teammate at Talbot. Was that an easy decision to get into Largs at the time?
Aye. Listen, me and Slaves had played with each other at Talbot in the middle of the park, and we always had each other's backs, and I thought we were a good partnership. So when he'd asked me, and I'd already left Kilburnie and took a bit of time out just due to some personal reasons. So when that opportunity came up, it was a no-brainer to go with Brian. We'd actually tried for another job or two before that and never got them. So obviously went to Largs and we got off to a good start there.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously Brian leaves and you take the job as manager. How's it been so far, and which one can you highlights your time there as a full-time manager?
Listen, I love it down at Largs. They're a cracking wee club. We maybe not got the biggest committees, the committee that other clubs and that have got, but there's people there who really put everything into it. So there is a lot of volunteers and as well. So I've kind of got to know all these people and got used to the club. And I do love it in there. Listen, it's got its frustrations at times, like I'm sure most clubs have. But I think that's been me there 6 or 7 years now. And listen, we've had some good times, we've had some not so good times, but that's to me, that's what it's all about. You've got to learn. When me and Brian first came in, we managed to stay in the league, which was a massive task. We managed to keep in the league, and then the following season we got promoted straight to the Premier. Well, it was probably a bit too quick, so we went up and we've had a bad run, like maybe 5-6 games getting beat, and Brian, a couple of personal things as well. We decided he'd had enough, but to me, I felt I wasn't finished, and it's obviously been new coaches, new managers or whatever. It's all right having the good times, but you've got to learn for the bad times as well, and I thought that was an opportunity for me to stick in and also learn for the bad times as well. When we did get relegated that season, but the following season we come back up again, and I think we've been there since. So hopefully we do enough to keep us up there and keep that run going. But there's been a lot of good stuff in between, like obviously getting to the Ayrshire Cup final, of losing to the Buffs 1-0, which we were unfortunate, and then obviously getting to the Scottish Cup final against Talbot. So I mean that was a good achievement as well, although we'd have liked to have went 1-1 won it.
Absolutely.
But there's been some great times down there, honestly. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time at Largs.
Brilliant. Well, obviously you've been there a couple of years now, obviously a local boy. How good is it to play for Largs, and what's been kind of your favourite memory so far?
I think probably when I first started, it was like the pre-season, it was like, right, it was a whole new squad, because I think the team from the year before was quite a bit older than us, so it was like a load of young boys, and we'd all came together, and pre-season was good. We had a couple, I think we went to Edinburgh and played Trinent, I think, and that was good. And then the season started and I wasn't playing as much, but was still involved in the games we were winning, and was playing, like when I was coming on, was learning wee bits and pieces. And then I remember scoring against Troon, and I've never been so buzzed in my life. I think that was my first league goal. I came off the bench. I think we were already winning like 3-0, but I just came off the bench, scored the last 5-10 minutes, whatever it was, and just I wanted to kick on for there and keep trying to learn, add to my game and wee bits and pieces. And then I remember a Meda game, we beat them I think 4-1 at Largs, and came off the bench, scored one, set up one. That was brilliant. But said this season, the WOSFL game, because I think the last few years, whatever we did, we just couldn't beat them. Couldn't score. And then this season, to score in the last minute, like myself, was just personally just brilliant. Like, felt good. A team that down there with us, we managed to get the 3 points. That was really, really good.
Brilliant. Right, this is the stage now where we put you in the spot. We've got a quick fire question round for Arnie as a manager, and obviously we've got teammates for the players. So, Arnie, you ready to be put in the spot here?
Right, go for it.
Right, first of all, Van Bronckhorst or Postecoglou?
Postecoglou.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Favourite film?
The Godfather.
Best manager played under?
Tucker.
Win the league or win the Scottish?
Both.
You can pick 3 players from the Premier Division to sign. Who would it be and why?
Our league?
Yeah.
I'd take Paul Fries at Beef.
Okay.
I think he's a cracking midfielder, box to box, great ability, composure on the ball, scores goals. I would also take, I don't know. I'd take Graham Wilson at Talbot. Absolute handful, so he is. Scores a lot of goals, nightmare for defenders. And I would take, thinking about it, the boy Stuart McCann at Pollock as well.
Okay. Best player played with?
Best player played with. I'm going to say, on his day, Alec Burke.
Very good. Worst?
Have I played with you, Will?
Played against me.
Can I say worst? Can I say a worst? Liam McVeigh.
Best player played against.
Best player played against. Try to think. And at our level, Martin McGarvey.
Okay. Most embarrassing moment. I have a feeling this will turn up later, but most embarrassing moment.
Listen, I've got loads, honestly. Most embarrassing moment. I don't know if this will come up later, but running up John Finney Street in Kilmarnock in a pair of underpants.
We'll see if that comes up later, but yeah, I've heard that story before. Best character you've met in football?
Best character. I think Mark Roberts has got it up there.
Nah, I thought he would maybe come up. Who's your favourite manager in the league?
In our league?
Aye.
I don't like any of them.
A few of them like
I'm
you.
only kidding. There's a lot of pain in the arses, to be fair, but it's got to be Tucker.
Favourite other sport?
Only because I like watching my daughter play at basketball.
Best memory in football?
Best memory in football. There's a few. Making my debut against Celtic for Kilmarnock.
Very good. While you're up now, it's a teammates round, so obviously you can give your answers, and Arnie, we want your input in this as well, because there'll be a few you'll probably disagree with, I'd imagine.
Right.
So, well, you ready?
Right.
Who would be the best candidate to be a future manager?
Stuart Folds. 100%. Stuart Folds. He's already doing it. I think he's got a skills team he's running.
Who's the best dancer?
I have no idea. I don't want to see any of the boys dancing. Probably Jack Haggerty, somebody like that.
Who's the best trainer?
Craig Forbes.
An easy one, sure.
Aye. But listen, there's a lot of good trainers there, but the wee man goes that bit extra.
Who's the worst trainer?
Milky.
I'm not going to disagree.
Who's the team hard man?
Craig Forbes, I'd say. Aye. Probably Craigie. Maybe Laurie, actually.
I call me Jack. Craig's hard, but he's no. There's people get about think they're hard men. Craig's no one of them.
Who's the most skillful?
Me, maybe. Me or Blair McIntyre.
You want me to answer that one?
Yeah, you go.
I would maybe say Jack.
Oh, Jack Carter, aye.
Who's the quickest?
Me.
No, did George not beat you that day?
No, I done that. We had that race. I won that race.
Right, okay.
Who's the slowest?
Jamie Ballantyne, aye. I'd say.
Who's the best character in the dressing room?
Oh, Jack Haggerty or Milky, I'd say. Don't shut up.
Who's got the worst dress sense in the dressing room?
Murray.
You by the looks at
it. Me at the moment. The boy Murray comes in. Some of the stuff he turns up with, man. Should see socks at training, never mind anything else. Atrocious.
Final one, who's the manager's pet?
Craig Forbes.
Arnie, who's the manager's pet?
Well, he texts and phones me every weekend.
Very good. Now we're at the stage where we get our sources to give us wee things to ashes, and there's a few coming up here. Arnie, we'll start with you. Ask Arnie about his 2006 Cup suit, a cream bad boy.
Listen, you've got to be different in these occasions. You know what I mean? I stood it. That's the main thing. Who was that? Butch?
I'm not going to reveal who it is, but you might know about this one. Arnie's the only guy I know that can go on a night out with his eyes closed after a few, but can still see where he is going.
I'll be Butch. I've had a habit of, when I've been drunk, my eyes shutting out a wee bit, but I still managed to get to where I'm going.
Ask Arnie how long it took him to realise that was Will he was talking to in the show and not George.
Honestly, it's a nightmare. Do you know what? I think they actually swap seats in the changing room sometimes just to confuse me. And actually, I think sometimes they swap positions the way they play as well.
Well, is Addy back in penalties?
No.
Right. Arnie, this one's for you. Ask him about the time he gets his 3 fingers jammed into the metal fence when training at Kilwinning in the cage.
That's right, honestly. I thought the fire brigade and everything was coming. So we trained in the cage at Kilwinning, right, which was brilliant. It was like no holds barred, no fouls, nothing. You just get smashed in, and for whatever reason, it was against the fence, and I went in with somebody, and my fingers have get in between the kind of wee gaps and just get stuck, couldn't get them out. Luckily, Tucker found a manoeuvre to get it out, but I was stuck for ages, and I honestly thought the fire brigade was going to have to come and cut them out. But aye, the good old days.
Brilliant. Well, ask Will about the time you were over a few drinks at Barrowfields and decided to have a race to find out who was the fastest in the team, and when you pulled your hammy.
I think I don't know how close it was to the start of the season, but somebody said it and we'd had a few drinks, and I think it was a golf day, and Craig and George were like, I am the fastest. I know you aren't. And I've hammered them in the race, but my hammy went, and I get to train on the Monday, and I was like, I'll hide it. No, it was gone, and then Arnie's like, you all right? And I was like, you made me race. Denying it.
I'll take responsibility for that.
Ask Will about why he wears his Birds Nike jumper to training.
That's Andy Scott, 100% Andy Scott's asked that. It's comfortable. It's comfortable. It makes me stand up.
Ask Arnie about Craig Little in Australia.
Oh dear. Nah, I don't know why to talk about it. It's a bit. Aye. I wouldn't want to embarrass anybody.
We're about to embarrass you here. Did you enjoy making all the cheesy family videos dancing to S Club 7, Reach for the Stars?
So anyway, Craig, right about Australia. By the way, I'll forward it, right, but don't put them on here. It was during the lockdown, and the family decided to do, like all the different families obviously decided to do a wee show and that, so we ended up taking it a bit serious. So it was good.
Arnie, do you remember when you subbed Graham Muir and Alex McWaters at the same time, 60 minutes into a game because they were fighting over a free kick?
Yes. Yep. Honestly, like a couple of school wins, 2 of them. So couldn't just take one off, so the 2 of them had to come off.
How much did you find them?
I think I did find them actually.
We've got the number here.
Aye. 20 quid?
20 quid, aye.
20 quid. Aye. No wonder. It was embarrassing. And I think they're teammates now again, aren't they?
I think they are, aye.
Wonder who takes the free kicks now.
Well, this one's for you. Arnie asked the boys to send in 5k times to him. However, he never went out that week and screenshotted his previous week's time. Will never realising at the exact same date in the running time.
I can't explain that.
You can explain it, go.
Right, so I was doing my 5Ks in my missus' car, and then just leaving the timer on. Concrete was killing me.
Only cheating yourself out.
I think I came back that pre-season the fittest there. It was brilliant. I was doing extras elsewhere.
Well, that infamous 4-4 draw at Ashfield when we won in penalties to get promoted to the Premier League. Will and his twin brother George were in the crowd as we guys supporting and ran on the park to celebrate us going up. What was your memories of that? That's a kind of serious one, isn't it?
I was amazing. I say it was amazing. I think Largs were 3-0 down after 18 minutes or something mental. Like, and the whole town was there. Honestly, it went to penalties and Stevie Connick saved it, and the whole place. I had school the next day. I don't think we got home till about 2 a.m. or something. It was just mental. Like, it was like a Wednesday night. It wasn't even just a Saturday, Sunday. It was amazing. Like, it was just unbelievable. I think there was a picture of me and George at the game, and I'm not sending anybody. The stuff we've got on is embarrassing. It's the gear. Andy Scott's in it as well, I think, and he's got some dodgy gear on as well. But it was amazing. Honestly, what a night. I think somebody gave us their boots after the game, and we were like, "Oh my god, we get boots!" I think we were 12-year-old, buzzing that some random boy gave us a pair of football boots.
Brilliant. Right, Arnie, this is the kind of one we've been getting. We got quite a few of this for different teammates in your Kelly days, but this one's actually a nice one. We'll tell you what he says at the start before he tells us the story. Tell Arnie I say hi. Not seen him in a while. Love Arnie, right? But this is the story, and you can guess who it is. When we were YTS at Kelly, we used to play a game where you would get points for doing or saying stupid things. The person with the most points by the Friday would have to do a forfeit. Arnie lost one week, and we made him run up John Finney Street only in his Y-fronts, dropped him off in the car at the bottom, and picked him back up at the top. Tell him to explain that.
I actually get cheated, right? So it started off, I think it was like you get points, right? So you win it one week, you had to run around the track in your underpants or whatever, and then you had to do something else. But for every week it got worse what you had to do. But listen, I started getting stitched up. They were just picking on me, and ended up that's where it came to. I had to get out Alec Buck's motor in the middle of John Finney Street, well, the bottom, and run all the way up to the top where the train station is, and just in a pair of pants and a pair of trainers, and it was just like wee slips, you know what I mean? And running by people, got out motor running and they're double taking me and no realising what they've seen. And I'll always thank Burkie to this day that he drove the motor to the tap and got me, because I know a lot of people wouldn't have, they just drove away. So I'll never forget that.
I'll give you a wee clue in this, and we'll get your answer to this off once we go off here. But the guy who sent that in has actually won a cup with Kilmarnock.
Hookie. Is it Hookie?
I'll tell you when we get off the show, but you're on the right lines. It was part of that squad.
Right.
But obviously we've done some really good kind of stories there, and we've obviously got a good laugh out of you. But we'll touch on the next few weeks. Obviously, 2 big games coming up before Christmas. Away to Glenafton on Saturday and home to Bonneton before the kind of league break. How big are they games, Stuart, to get a kind of secure survival for the season? Are they massive games before the break?
Aye, listen, we've been saying it for weeks now that we just need a couple of wins on the bounce just to get us back on track now. Obviously, the break's going up at Christmas, so it's so important for us to go and give ourselves a chance for when we come back, give us a wee platform. If we can get a win down at Glenafton, and then, listen, I'm saying get a win down at Glenafton, it's going to be tough. It's a tough place to go to. Mick McCann has got a good team there. Obviously, he's just starting out in management. I think he'll go and do well because he's a great lad. So it's going to be tough down there, but I know that their boys are capable on their day, but we need to start showing that consistency and taking the opportunities to get ourselves back in it. So starting with Saturday, we need to go and get a win, and then obviously we've got the West of Scotland Cup, and then we've got Bonneton, which will be another tough game. My old coach for Kelly, Alan Robertson, and I know he'll get the best out of a young squad that he's got. So listen, two massive games in my season, and I've been stressing that to the players, that it could really turn things for us if we can get the results to take us into the new year, because there's still plenty of football to be played, but we really need to start winning games and giving ourselves a chance. Yeah.
Well, how big's the next couple of weeks? Obviously, 2 massive games, and obviously the main target is to secure survival this season.
They're huge, especially before Christmas. I don't know if there's a wee break, but we need 6 points, and that's all we need from it. A point's not good enough in either game. The game Saturday's going to be tough. We know it's going to be tough. We played there before, and I think all that matters, we come away to Glenafton and Bonneton with 6 points and climb up that table and secure survival, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. But obviously as well, just before we finish up, a lot of clubs in the West are obviously looking to get into the kind of SFA membership. Stuart, is this obviously an avenue Largs want to go down, and how important would it be for the infrastructure to get that?
Listen, it is. I mean, you just, as we spoke about earlier, you see the other teams obviously getting exposure and obviously making a good bit of money as well out of being in the cup. So our club's trying. We're trying to obviously get the new floodlights and all that kind of stuff and work towards it. So it is earlier, maybe not got the biggest of committees compared to others, so maybe taking a wee bit more time. But I know how hard the guys behind the scenes are working, and hopefully one day we can get get that as well. Because I think as a town like Largs can maybe need something like that, just because you see when we do get the big games, the crowds come out, and it's something I think it needs to happen more. So if we can obviously get all this in place and get some big names down to our ground, then I'm sure the town would be right behind us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously you've been a fan of Largs for a while. How good would it be to see the club getting this kind of thing and obviously moving up the pyramid if they could?
I think it's the next stage like that we're at. Like it's working hard, and it's the guys are working hard behind the scenes, and just be great for the town. Like you see, like Clydebank and Darvel and that, and do what they're doing. Like this town would be absolutely jumping. Should we do that? And if we do it, so it'd be brilliant. Like bring a lot of money into the town as well, not just the club. Like the town would benefit from it as well, which I think then people would probably be more willing to help the club out because we're helping their businesses out as well. So it'd be great all round for everybody involved. So aye.
Brilliant. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be both on the show, and best of luck for the season ahead. Thank you very much for doing that.
Cheers.
No bother. Thanks for having us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in. Please subscribe to our social media channels and follow us on all our podcast and YouTube pages. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.